Yo, what's going on? This is the second of, I guess, just a pair of videos that I'm doing, that are just, they're Substack articles that I wrote that I think, I don't know, might do well on YouTube, so I'm just doing them on YouTube. The first of them was about the Beach Boys, specifically one Beach Boy that we all know and like. And this one is also sort of about, I mean, it's not about music, it's about a record, but anyway, here we go. You guys don't even know how lucky you are, actually, because for a while, the article that I was writing was called The Punk Crock, and it contained between 1 and 1.5 thousand words of me complaining about the philosophical inconsistencies of punk rock music. Fortunately, uncharacteristically, I actually did some research and found things that were not conducive to my doling out of scorn, and so I deleted the whole thing, and I wrote about something a little more positive. This, I think, will be the first video on this channel I can very squarely slot within the album review category. I wrote one about the Lemon Twigs, mostly about their album A Dream Is All We Know, but it was couched in some talk about genre and honestly was half about Greta Van Fleet anyways. This shall be couched in nothing at all. Today we're going to discuss one of a couple thousand albums produced by Folkways Records, a label that was founded in 1948, dedicated to the collection and preservation of not just forms of music, but all kinds of sounds. Affiliated with the Smithsonian, Folkways was not a project interested in profit as much as historical achievement. You might find in their catalog a record of traditional country blues, or a compilation of the cries of a specific exotic frog. Much to everyone's excitement, I am sure this video is about a record in the latter group. Voices of the Satellites is an album that contains no music at all. The only instruments at work here are those used for scientific study. The only pitch, the swerving Doppler-affected wail of careening spacecraft. The only rhythm, the heartbeat of Laika, a dog sent into space by a fervent Soviet Union. This isn't the music of the spheres. These are the noises of very specific objects. Released in January of 1958, Voices literally captures the radio signals emitted by several different satellites in Earth's orbit, perhaps most prominent being Sputnik 1, the pioneering Soviet craft. The samples here mostly consist of those strange, high-pitched signals. As such, Voices has a sonically narrow scope, which encourages listening to just pieces at a time. As a scientific inquiry, though, this narrowness means that it does not overreach in evidence gathering. That there is a concrete purpose to this collection is made wonderfully clear by the narration of Haverford College's professor T.A. Benham, who guides the listener through the experience of these sounds with an audible cheer that elevates the entire record. Benham is clearly American and yet displays contagious admiration even at Soviet achievements. It sounds like John Fiedler's Juror Number 2 beaming you through our planet's exosphere. I mean, I can't think of anything more wonderful.
One night when we were looking for the signals from Sputnik 2, an amusing thing happened. There, right on the frequency of the satellite, was a weak, plaintive signal sending from somewhere far away in Morse code. And when we translated it, we found that it was saying, bow wow. It turned out later that someone in the South Pacific was exercising his sense of humor.
Benham, in the first track, gives us our first lesson on interpreting these titular voices from up there. Using the example of the Doppler effect on a passing car, he outlines how the pitch given off by an object passing a listener will begin to decrease exactly after the passing has occurred. This is followed by about a minute of pure radio noise from Sputnik. During which you could be forgiven for completely zoning out, trying to concentrate on the change in pitch of this piercing drone over time. It's strangely hypnotic. Once the exercise is done, the process of deriving Sputnik's speed and location by its pitch is undergone with what Benham calls an oscillator, a pitch-producing implement that sounds a lot like a theremin. This is one of my favorite things about Voices of the Satellites, the extent to which simply picking somewhere to lie down and close one's eyes will completely transform the content of the record. You can see Sputnik hurtling against a starry backdrop looking like some strange deep-sea creature. You can see Benham, his ear to the signal receiver, tuning the cosmic instrument and scrawling down formulas and solutions. You can, of course, see Laika tucked into the cushions afforded him, looking out the window of Sputnik 2 at the Earth, the moon, everything. I suppose that the function of this record as science fiction is one of its most appealing factors to me. Science fiction? What the H is he talking about? These were real historical events that have been dwarfed in significance many times over since their occurrences. He well said. But honestly, this vision from 1958 holds more promise in my estimation than anything we've got going on right now. Back then, two world powers competed vigorously in an unprecedented arena of scientific miracle-making as the world watched on in suspense. The space race. Now all we hear about is how terrible a job Boeing is doing, retrieving those astronauts that they stranded up at the ISS, and how Elon Musk gotta get in there and figure it out. It seems that space exploration is not something that many Americans care about right now, which I think is a damn shame. You'll forgive me for indulging in this account of more hopeful days. To take it a step further, I find it fascinating how Voices of the Satellites works in a modern context as a bit of analog content. Oh no, I'm couching! Seriously though, just hear me out. If you are online enough, you probably know about something called analog horror. This usually describes a video made in the current day that evokes scares through emulating and exploiting the limitations of older forms of recording audio and video, most popular by far being the VHS. Maybe it would disguise itself as an instructional videotape, but hide within jump cuts and visual artifacts, terrifying images, or pieces of an underlying story. Entire plots have been communicated through this method in series on YouTube and other platforms. Now, I'm not claiming that Voices counts as analog horror per se, except for the astrophobes out there, but I think it's fascinating how much of the larger state of the world one can grasp from Benham's genial remarks. The record is meant to be about sound frequencies from satellites, but you can piece a fair tapestry together about the Soviet Union going head-to-head with America by listening closely. That is the underlying story of Voices of the Satellites that makes it an exceptional Folkways document, in my opinion. Its value as a nexus for fact, culture, and fantasy means it excels in precisely the way a historical recording should, and in a great many other ways too. So, you should go and listen to it. My computer just shut off and I don't have access to my script anymore, but I finished my script. That was the last sentence in it. So, go and listen to it, man. There's like no videos about it. So go listen to it. It's awesome. Have a little something to smoke before you do, Or you might get sort of bored, but just go crazy.